Okay, so I got my little break in, and I managed to get this down to one line. Now, don't put too much effort thinking about how this all ended up as one line. Just note that, if you chase things down, all this can turn into this. So what I've done is made a subfunction that we'll use later on. We'll use a similar form for editing the dynamic property of that lookup table. But anyways, we have the object, which is a VLA object, and the value, which is going to be a text string. All I do is plug that in. I tested it, and as you can see, weird, I still have that block selected. But anyways, as you can see, looks like it worked. So we'll have to see in actual practice if that did work or not. So first thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to rename this GB. I don't think anything is named that. If you look on your keyboard, G and B are right next to each other. I cannot name it grid. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe I have to run that redefine command and get rid of that grid. Whatever that command is that won't let me overwrite it with the Lisp command. That's okay. GB works. You can name it whatever you want. So PT1 point. So we're going to start building the actual routine now. So it's getting late in the day, but I want to finish this because I'm kind of motivated. Once I get into a task, I keep going at it, but God, I'm a horrible procrastinator, so it's taken me forever to actually start this lesson. Actually, I'm still finishing that dialog box lesson, but I kind of fell off that wagon, I guess. But anyways, I'm pushing really hard. Gonna try to get this out. I know the lesson's the quality and the duration of it. It's hard to make a good lesson in a short amount of time. But hopefully if you're bored, you can watch this, skip ahead. If you skip parts of the lesson and you ask a question in the comments that's covered in these lessons, I will have absolutely nothing against you. I'll answer the question, and quite honestly, the comments actually help me get more views. So if you missed something, you skipped something, you're wondering how I did something, just at any time, feel free to ask, and I'll try to clarify it. If I know a good link, I'll provide it to you, or maybe even make a more detailed video on exactly how I did stuff. Like, I didn't record myself doing this because I thought it would take me longer and I'd have to bug test it and stuff, but it worked first try. So if I knew that, I would have just done it live in the video. But anyways, just know that's a bit late, so my tutorial creation skills might be falling off just a little bit. But anyways, let's get going. Okay, so I got my PT1. I'm going to Control C, Control V. These I'll move into my local variables later on, but I want them to just remain, I guess, global for now. So we're going to do an initget later on, but I'll probably do that in the next video. So I'm going to do a VLA insert block. I'm just reading up on it right now. I have, as usual, I have AutoLISP. The main reason I have that is because I need to know my required arguments and their order, because it's not always consistent between So the problem with putting model space right here is I should get, I should be doing VLA get active layout. So if I don't put, you're probably not going to insert a grid bubble into paper space, but it's going to get me the active layout. I'm going to see if this works. If this doesn't work, I'm going to have to change this to model space later. So just keep that in mind. Actually, let's see what this does. Oops. Never mind. I'm not going to bother. Okay, so I have to use this function, I have to put the object, which is weird, the model space is an object, that's where I'm inserting my block. Let's see, on that site I'm looking at my other screen, so I do not have this memorized. So insertion point is VLAX-3D-point. So when you do anything with VLA, you need to plug special points into it. As best I can describe it, this is turns the point into a safe array, because that's what it likes to work with. Oops. Actually, let's just generate these variables as I make them. And heck, while we're at it, we kinda, sorta, yeah, we need that. So I'm just gonna copy this. This variable, pt1, look at that. Okay, so I have my, oh yeah, while I'm here, I'm gonna show you something. So if you notice, it actually gives you all these options when you select certain types of list variables. So if you have a list, like, look at all the neat stuff you can, it knows it's a point, I guess. So that's interesting. Just be aware when you're playing with these list variables, you have some neat options to play around with. So that's weird. I had no idea that it would pick up on that a 3-object list would actually automatically give me those options. Okay. Oh, I gotta redo it. But anyways, what I'm trying to do here, let's make that by a layer. Keep that blue. Let's insert field. Perfect, kept my settings. Okay, that wasn't too painful. Yeah, so we have our X, Y, and Z. Z is 0, of course, because we're just on the same plane in that respect. Okay, let's pull our Lisp window back in here. Okay, so we got our 3D point. Now I can show you this. So yeah, this lesson's going to be all over the place. Ooh, it's a variant. Oh, a list of variants. Okay, so but let's not even touch that. Once we convert it, we don't have to have anything else to do with it unless we got to start messing around with it. So 1.0, 1.0, it says X scale, Y scale. I put Z scale and it says, now I got to do my block reference. So pound dash anno dash grid case sensitive. Let's see if this works. This might give me an error. So it's always the scales, oops, and rotation. And hang on, this is in the wrong order. Okay, rotation is 0. That makes things easy for us. This, I think, has to go here. Let's see if it, damn it. Okay, so we got that right, I think. So I'm pretty sure this is a me mistake. Let's see. Insertion point. With AutoLISP, the errors don't really help you. It says ActiveX server, return the error, unknown name, insert block. So I'm sure I got the right command. So if this doesn't work, I'll have to actually pause the video, figure out the problem, and it shouldn't be a case issue, because I think with functions themselves, case, okay, it's giving me an error. Okay, so might be this. Let's see what happens. No, that works. So it could be that I'm missing an argument or something, but so it should work. That's frustrating. Okay, so unfortunately I have to pause the video, figure this out, and get back to it. Okay, so I paused the video for exactly 3 seconds and I figured it out. I actually did have to use the model space. So maybe that means this command won't. That's the block that just appeared. Maybe that means this command will not work in paper space, unfortunately. Now, you don't have to use this method, and earlier I mentioned that I was going to look up that other method, so I'll do that at some point in the video. I want to get the bulk of the code done as soon as I can, though. But there might be a better way to insert this block. Never hesitate to actually use the command function. Insert. Don't do insert, do dash insert. And even you might want to do something like that, right? So you do insert. And of course you just run the command at the command line with the dash in front of it to see the actual order of the command. You don't have to use this VLA insert. The thing about this VLA insert block is it returns a VLA object, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll do a set Q. Let's name it new block insert for now. And let's close that off. You're frustrated, or it might be hard staring at me working in these really small windows. Seems like a better way to do the lesson than constantly switching windows and getting lost in other stuff I'm doing. So hopefully it's not too distracting. Anyways, let's move that around a little bit. Okay, so I think that's what we want. I'm going to go back in our file. I'm going to delete this. Delete this, unfortunately. I was hoping for grid bubble. I don't think we'll ever put it in a layout. Anything you do very seldomly, you don't actually need a Lisp routine for anyways. I'm kind of disappointed because I wanted to make a routine that would probably be easily modifiable for other blocks as well. Okay, so we have our VLA object. IACAD block reference. That's, I think, pretty much what I want to see here. There she is. So we're going to do color. Let's change it to red just so we know which one it is. And that's why I did by block, because it allows me to change the color. As far as the line type goes, even if I do center 2, I don't think it would show up on that that little circle anyways. Oh, weird, I can't do the... Well, let me edit the line type scale. Oh well, is what it is. So for some reason, the line type was small enough to actually show up on the circle. Since I set that to continuous within the block, I'll just go in there to refresh our memories. So remember, I have all the geometry, the color set to by block. I have this circle set to line type continuous. This, I guess there's a line type, but it doesn't really affect anything. It's just there. Save, I don't need that. Reminds me I should save my AutoCAD file, and I should save all my Lisp routines in case my computer crashes. So save this guy, I guess. Okay, so we have a way to select our point. Let's make a note, remember initget. That's a function that gives me a lot of trouble, so I'm gonna make sure I prepare that part of the lesson. I'm trying to keep each segment down to about half an hour, so okay, kind of lost my place. So okay, so we insert our block. This is all going to be a sub-function. I think we can do that pretty much right now. So we'll do a... get at text value. Let's put that there. So these are just variables I'm putting there just to peg them as getting turned into local variables later on when I throw them on this side of that little slash mark. So what I'll do is I'll go all the way down. And hit tab. Make sure that's closed off. We're actually going to pull this out of here. So I think that's going to do what we want it to do. Make a nice little delineator here. Same with this one. We're going to put that down there. We might modify this later, but for now I think we're going to stick with it. Might add a while statement to this. I just got to finish the rest of the code before I know exactly where I'm going with this. That's the first thing I wanted to do, because I guess when I write code, I try to do the thing I've never done before. I'm going to get rid of all this for better or worse. But yeah, I try to do... something I've never done before. Yeah, if you're wondering why I'm confused, I don't know why I have this guy here. But yeah, sorry. So I try to do something I find most challenging or something I haven't done before, just so I know I can actually complete the code with the available knowledge. If I don't have the available knowledge, it means I have to hit the book, study, look at tutorials, look at message forums. Okay, so something I should do between lessons is cleaning up the code, but we have that closed off. That's nice and closed off. This is nice and closed off. Nothing's wrong with our code right now, so we got kind of a fresh start. No funny stuff going on. Okay, so we grab a user point, we insert our block. The next thing we do is so that goes there. Let's get rid of that since it's not part of this particular routine anymore. So this is my own sub function. Okay, let's have a look at that. Okay, let's load that. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we're doing okay. Kind of surprised it works because there's usually at least one thing wrong. So this video I'm kind of preparing half the lessons, half not. So things get not a little tricky. I just have to actually start thinking about what I'm coding. So now is probably a good time to take a break, prepare for the next video. So I'll see what I come up with and I'll be back shortly. Okay, so after deciding what I'm gonna do, I'm back at it. So I'm gonna work on initget yet. I'm gonna show you how this works. One thing I'll just mention is we got this big Hulkin routine that we made at the start of the lesson you're probably wondering about. This we'll get into a little bit later. This is where we'll, let's see. Anyways, yeah, I'll get into this a little bit later. I'll have a way to actually increase the increment of either our numeric values or our alphabetic values. But anyways, I want to start building the actual routine, the user interface. So we're going to do it initget. So right now I have open Autodesk's help page on initget. We're going to use bit 128. I'm going to try something new here because you can do various different things, but I'm going to just show you, scroll down to the examples here. Anything you need to know about initget is probably going to be on this page. It's not explained the best way, so you'll probably have to do Google search if whatever you're trying to do doesn't quite work. There's some half decent directions here. So when you're getting keywords, the get keyword makes things a lot easier. The bitcode 128 does something kind of interesting. In fact, I'll try to see if I can pull up that file right now that I've created. So in this routine, I basically insert a point at a certain elevation. So I'm going to insert that. Let's do DDP type. That one is nice and point size, absolute units. Let's see how big that is. Oh, that's way too big. DDP type. Let's just do 1. Is what it is. Okay, so The good thing about bitcode 128 is that normally you'll have a routine with just a ton of options that you have to enter here, and you have to enter multiple levels. Bitcode 128, if you can get it to work, will allow you to set a variable without having to go down a different level. So right now this routine's looking for a point. If I type 12 and enter, it changes the elevation for me. I can type -12, -24, and I can start putting points at a different elevation. You can see my Z position. So what I want to do is use the bitcode 128 to basically eliminate one level of code in my in this particular routine. I'll just show you how this works really quickly. So just ignore all this stuff. So I have a flag, while flag equals nil, initget 128. It's not asking for a specific keyword. So an easier way to do this, I'll go back to Autodesk site quickly, would be to, God, I hope I didn't close that. There it is. Would be to not use a bitcode and just simply have like a single option for all the options. But I'm going to try it with the bitcode 128 because it'll just make the routine so much better. So anyways, I don't really need to, yeah, so anyways, this point thing that I made, I just had to draw points and I had to adjust the elevation on the fly, and just getting rid of that one level was ultra convenient. So we're going to do initget 128. So whenever you do an initget, it's always tied into the next get function you have in line. Q point flag nil. So if I put this here, I don't quite need that there, but it don't matter. So we're going to do while. So making your own variable for this purpose, it completely gives you a lot more control over what's going on. It gives you a very easy way to get out of the while statement that I'm going to make right here. So while point flag equals nil, okay, so I'll just pause for a minute. I actually got a beverage. When I push myself kind of hard, I've done a lot of work today. At first it's caffeine, and then to get a bit more willpower, I'll have 1 or 2 cocktails. So if you see the things pause for a bit, that's why. I'll try to keep the pauses at a point where it gives you a chance to really take in the code and just get an eye for what's going on. Okay, so we got our initget 128, and I might get away with not putting keywords in here, so I'm just going to see. We'll see how it works. Okay, so set qpt1. Oh, another thing is I want to declare some variables up here, so I'm going to do gvar, oops, set q. So I'm going to do kcs-gvar. So KCS is my company's name, gvar is short for global variable. Let's do a lowercase g, that kind of looks cooler. Dash grid bubble alignment. So that's something we'll get to towards the end of these tutorials. Q KCS-gvar grid bubble text. Let's make it a dash by default just to stop it from crashing our program. It'll make things a little bit easier. And just a heads up, there's a get config and set config that will come in handy if you want AutoCAD to store your global variables, because a global variable in AutoLISP will remain for that session, but as soon as you close the drawing and reopen it, or close AutoCAD and reopen it, you lose that temporary setting. So that set config and get config, excellent tutorials on AutoLISP will tell you all about that, how to use that. Anyways, let's okay, I got these in here. Okay, so while point flag equals nil, initget 128. If see does not equal type pt1 so pt1 I think is still active in our document, so let's see type pt1 list. It is a list. If does not equal type pt1 list condition actually I think I need to put keywords in here. Crap. So let's put a text alignment. So I think since I use a capital T, that you'll only have to type T. So let's type none. I want to say null, but let's say just none. Okay, if type pt1 text. Oops, I almost forgot that other bracket. So you put a bracket, your I guess the condition that has to be met for it to go into here. And let's say, let's call this set text value. Get text value. Or actually, this will go in here. Equals pt1 alignment one thing I always do is just check that, make sure nothing's wonky there. Okay, so get alignment. I have to make a little sub function here. I'll do that really quickly. So I'll just move that over. Make sure that's the same. Get alignment. I guarantee it'll be the same even if I spelt it wrong. Define get alignment. That little slash n, this, it'll just make a new line. Oops, and one thing I should have done, if equals nil. If I don't do this, it would reset the value every time we run the routine. If equals nil. Okay, back down to here. Enter value for alignment. Centered, top, right, bottom. Obviously order these however you feel is most So it's important that you have a default value in here, because if this were nil, it would crash this function just for sticking this in here. So minor minor little addition to your code that's not even necessary could bring the whole thing down. Okay, so we have our get keyword. I almost forgot my set q. There we go. So this should work. I'm gonna do one thing. I'm just gonna bring this from here, copy and paste down to here. So only and only if this equals nil, it'll change it to this. So that'll make it convenient when you're inserting multiple grid bubbles. You don't have to constantly reset the alignment. It's going to use a global variable for that. You only have to reset it once per session. In these tutorials, I'm not going to show you how to use that get and set config, but it is ultra useful if you need to keep variables, your custom variables, set a certain way between sessions. So we have our get alignment function. What else did we have up here? We have one for get attribute text value. Okay, so as soon as these hit these, sorry, as soon as one of these is triggered, it'll actually exit out of this little condition routine. So this is also a good time to just put a slight safety measure in that, okay, if it's not a list and the user's entered something and it's not a valid input, we could put let's just put and does not equal pt1 alignment. Oops, there we go. Prompt invalid input. So if it's not a list, it means it's not a point, meaning it's probably going to be text, because this structure, it's really hard not to get a text value out of it. Even if you type numbers, they're going to come, they're going to get cast as a string and get passed through here, right? So you type anything that is in text or alignment, or an A or a T. I'm hoping that you just have to type A or T. I think that's the case. It's been a while since I've programmed this. I just use my existing code. Anyways, we'll get to try this out very soon. So while point flag equals nil. Okay, so they'll go through that. Now I'll put our if statement that exits us out of exits us out of our while statement. If equals setQ point flag true. So it can really be, we can set that to anything really. We just have to set it to anything but nil. That gets us out of our while statement. So I'll probably have to, ooh, that's not good. Okay, if we got that there. There we go, that's what I did wrong. Okay, so we have a way to set our variables. Okay, we got this here, so strcat. So we can do the same thing we did below. I'm just thinking about how to incorporate it into here. So let's do that. So for myself, it's hard to get this far into the code without having an error. So I have a feeling when I run this, there's going to be an error. So do not copy this code quite yet. If I do post code, I'll make sure I test it before posting it in the comments. I'll make sure I tell you what I screwed up in the video itself, but don't count on this code working. You're just going to learn like basically how I get these things to work. So this will make a nice routine where you can actually see the alignment setting and the grid bubble text setting and the grid bubble alignment setting. I can add a little more to this. I'm just going to see how long this appears on the command line, because I can actually have clickable options. Maybe I should, yeah, maybe while I'm at it, I'll just do that one more time. strcat. So I'll have to edit this a bit. I'm not actually changing that variable in this routine yet, but so this is going to lead to a dead end for now, but we're going to fix that soon enough. Text string, specify. Oops, and this is totally wrong. So actually, I'm going to copy this like I did for the other one, just to make sure. Remember, if this is nil, this will crash, and it's such a small petty thing to make your whole code crash over. So we'll just play it safe. A little space there. Okay, that's looking good. So eventually we're going to add a while statement here. I just don't want to play with this right now. Yeah, so that won't do, this won't do anything. It'll just send us into there. Just be aware of that. That needs some work. And quite honestly, I'm not quite 100% sure how I'm going to deal with that, but I have a few different methods in my head that will all work. So it's a matter of which one's best or which one suits me at the time I actually decide to code that. Okay, so let's do a quick check, make sure we haven't screwed anything up. This code, God, I'm starting to lose my place. Time for another break almost, but we're gonna have a quick look and see if this actually works. I'm just gonna show you what I've changed, how it affects the user interface. Oops. So I already got one error. So I've been doing too much C#, so I tried to organize my math logic the same way as in C#. Okay, so select insert point or choose text or alignment. So you can see I can actually click on these.